Revelation 4. All right. So remember, John has been having this vision. Jesus has just finished dictating the 7 letters. And here's what he says next. After these things, I, John, I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard, like the sound of a trumpet speaking with me. Okay, so that's Jesus. That's how he describes Jesus' voice in the first chapter when he first hears his voice. Okay, so Jesus, he hears Jesus' voice say, come up here and I will show you what must take place after these things. Okay, so after these things, so Jesus has just finished dictating the letters. Okay, so after that happened, then here's how I see this scene. So Jesus finished talking, the last church, which was Laodicea. John is looking down, furiously scribbling away, and then he looks up and Jesus is gone. So he looks around, he hears Jesus' voice, and he looks up and he sees this door going up to heaven, and he hears Jesus saying, come up here, John. Can you imagine? And so he says, immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was standing in heaven. So John goes up to heaven, but he says it's in the spirit. Okay. So this is a spiritual experience. So he is not claiming to have physically gone to heaven. This is continuing the continuation of the vision that he is having. So he is having the spiritual experience of a vision of heaven. And here's what he says. A throne was standing in heaven, and someone was sitting on the throne. That would be God. And he who was sitting, so God, was like a jasper stone and a sardius in appearance. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. So see, he's just describing what he sees. That's why he keeps saying in appearance. Around the throne were 24 thrones. And upon the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments and clothed in golden crowns on their heads. Okay, we are not given any more explanation of who these 24 elders were. We're assuming these are not angels. These are human beings who lived on the earth and now are in heaven with God. But we don't know any more than that. So perhaps, I read all different kinds of theories. Perhaps it could be 12 of them could be the representatives of each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The other 12 perhaps could have been the disciples of Jesus, which that would have been interesting because John was a disciple. So if 12 of them were disciples, was John seeing himself in heaven? So anyway, we don't know, but it's just fascinating. Okay, so these stones, this is how John describes God by these 2 different kinds of stones. He says sardius and jasper. So I wanted to see what those stones might look like. So this is sardius. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that beautiful? Wow. And then this is jasper. So jasper, you can see, can look a lot of different ways, but very, very colorful, lots of colors. And so what I think John was trying to convey by using these particular stones in order to describe God, he's just trying to express that it was just a dazzling colors, so many colors, like rainbows, and just all of these dazzling, probably vibrant colors, probably more vibrant than anything you would see on earth. So I love that description. Also very interestingly, in the Old Testament, Aaron, who was Moses's brother, and he was the high priest for the Jewish people, for the Israelites. And he had these priestly garments that he wore. And part of that was a breastplate. And the breastplate had all of these precious stones on it. The first stone on his breastplate was jasper, and the last stone was sardius. So by choosing the first and the last stones, John is also alluding to the fact that the beginning and the end, this is on God. This is describing God, right? So he is alluding to the fact that God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So there's just so much amazing symbolism in all of this. I'm just skimming the surface here.